Welcome to Behind the Grind, an entrepreneur think tank where we sit down with entrepreneurs and high-performing individuals to talk about their journey. My name is Jimmy O'Donovan, and I'm sitting here with my co-host, Tucker Massey.
What's up, guys? So Behind the Grind is sponsored by Long Hollow Creatives, a boutique co-working and co-op studio space located at 700 North Gillimard Street. Today on the podcast, we have the pleasure of interviewing Erica Richards. She is the owner and founder of Rainey's Closet, which is a stylish fashion rentals for kids and moms to be. How are you doing today, Erica?
Great. How are you guys?
Good morning. Thank
Awesome.
you for joining us.
Thanks for being on the podcast with us today.
Sure. Happy that you asked me.
Yeah. So how about you give the listener a little background on yourself and also Rainey's Closet?
Okay, well, for people that don't know kind of the rental industry, it's a very quickly growing market that Rent the Runway started about 10 years ago, maybe 11 by now. And they've grown to like a $600 million a year company. But they started renting sort of formal and cocktail dresses for women. Designers that were expensive that you might wear one time and then they sort of sit in the closet. So that sort of introduced like a new concept to retail in general. And now you can rent everything from like ski and snowboard gear to, well, obviously you've been able to rent men's tuxes.
I was just watching that on Shark Tank, a ski and snowboard rental.
Yes, Kit Wonder was recently on there.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I got the idea was, I was doing a photo shoot for my daughter and wanted to buy her this expensive dress that she would wear for an hour, and then was paying for the photos, and I wanted the flower crown and the whole 9 yards, and by the time I was adding up all the costs, it was going to be expensive. So I thought someone should have a Rent the Runway for kids, and I was a stay-at-home mom at the time, and my daughter was about to turn 3. So I thought, maybe I'll start that business. Kind of thinking it would just be like a little part-time mom gig.
Yeah.
And well, that kind of didn't work out that way. It kind of grew much faster than I expected, which was a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But that's sort of how I got the idea. I personally had been in sales and marketing like pretty much most of my career, and I love working, but I also loved being a stay-at-home mom, so I thought this would be kind of a good
In
thing.
between?
Yeah, to kind of be able to do both. And generally, I think I've told Jimmy in the past, it sort of was just been 5 years of overwhelming trying to balance everything, but lots of fun too. And I don't know, it's been challenging at the same time, but it's kind of how it all started. It was just a photo shoot.
How you got the idea?
Yeah, I love like innovation and solving problems, and so that's sort of where I came from in that piece, was I could solve a problem for other moms that were in kind of the same boat.
Apparently a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, you said you're originally from Colorado.
Yes.
When did you move to Pensacola?
We moved here in 2004, right after Hurricane Ivan, which was quite a shock.
Yeah.
In a good way, I ended up getting a job that was sort of related to hurricane recovery at the time, and so it worked out, and I was married at the time, and we came for my husband's job, and didn't know if we'd stay because Pensacola was drastically different 15 years ago, and
Yeah.
happy to say now I really love it here, and I feel like the quality of life is so great that it would be hard to replicate this somewhere else. And like my office, the gym, places I go to are all about 5 minutes from my house, and there's no traffic. I can ride my bike everywhere.
Probably
so.
the biggest appeal for Pensacola is no traffic.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So we came 15 years ago and stayed, and kind of watched it grow, and it's awesome.
So sales marketing, what were some of the first few moments of, oh, someone should open this, to, oh, I should open this, to, what am I doing? I have, a sales marketing background, know nothing about entrepreneurship or, own business, how long of a span were those internal battles?
Oh gosh. Well, I've had a lot of ideas for businesses in the past, but fear, of course, of failure, and also the looming like big business plan like was what stopped me from actually moving forward with anything.
Creating a business plan.
Yes, and like doing your research and having this document that had all your plans laid out and that you knew what you were doing, and
It can be really overwhelming.
very overwhelming. And so I feel like in the past that process stopped me from even moving forward with an idea. And this one, I just felt like I was my target customer. So I just had this like, I sort of knew what I was willing to pay for this type of service, and I knew the brands that I would rent if I was my customer. And I had followed a bunch of these boutique brands on Facebook, and I was buying for my daughter, and so that was really like comforting and helpful. That was marketing to myself, basically. So I just decided I'm not going to do a business plan. I'm just going to try this. I said I'm going to spend this much money on inventory and just see what happens. This will just be a little sort of side hustle, I guess, and see what happens. And it, grew quickly, and I have some real like anxious triggers when I think back to those first days, and like my daughter was only in school like 3 mornings a week, so I was trying to do this in very little amounts of time and setting up a website, all these things, and I remember like waiting for her to wake up from naps so I could run to UPS and get these orders shipped, and like frantically trying to make deadlines and running her around. And when I think about those days, it's just like sends chills up my spine, just kind of being like chaotic and crazy, but it was also so much fun at the same time. Like,
because you had no choice but to make it happen.
Right, and so I would stay up late doing what I needed to do and learning about all the technology and getting the website set up, and I would say it moved pretty quickly. Like I actually, came up with the name and filed the
What year was
papers.
this that you started it?
2015. Okay. So I think, or maybe it was October of 14, but the website actually launched in February of the following year.
Gotcha.
So it was all pretty fast moving, and it was so much fun, and it was just sort of like I had a new fire under me after like being home with my daughter for about 3 years. But a lot of stress involved in all of it too, just the ups and downs of realizing how much the technology was going to cost that you didn't anticipate, things like that.
What were some of the things that you had outsourced in the very beginning with, the platform which you sold off of? Was the website the first thing that you went to, or did you utilize Facebook at all, or?
Yeah, so I started with Facebook, and that's kind of where the moms that were following these boutiques that was sort of the community they were in.
And I ask because there's a lot of people that I see, and I assume a lot of other people see, is they do resell things on Instagram and Facebook, and that's becoming such a common thing, and taking that to the next level, the professional level in which you are doing it. So
yeah, it definitely started on Facebook, and that was just sort of a interim while I worked on the website, and it grew the community pretty fast, but it was a lot of just manually keeping track of reservations, and you can't even imagine how crazy that got. I was scared I was going to miss like shipping deadlines for people's orders, and so it was incredibly important to get like a turnkey website up that tracked all the inventory, the reservations, when to ship them, turnover days, like how long you needed between rentals, and all of that. And so luckily I had a friend that helped me out with finding the software that I licensed and getting it put on a website, and it wasn't exactly what we needed, but over the next several years, we've spent a lot of time and money customizing it to fit our needs, and still today there's so many things on the wish list that, the technology part became much more important than I ever anticipated.
And so this is 2015 when you started, and when you say you really used Facebook for that outreach, were you using Facebook advertising or was it more of an organic reach? Because in 2015, even though Facebook and Instagram advertising now is still on the cheaper end, 2015, that's when Facebook advertising was extremely cheap and really easy to put your brand out there and gain that eyesight. I guess that's probably not the right word.
But the
reach, consumer's eyes.
It was mostly organic.
Okay.
I didn't pay for any advertising in the beginning because I would say about 50% of our business is done. Our customer is photographers. It's out there everywhere. The photographers are just naturally promoting us because they would post photos from sessions they did, and then their customers would say, "Where did you get that dress? Where can I find that?" And so they would refer us, and they love it because their clients show up in beautiful clothing that photographs better.
Right.
And the moms love it because they don't have to order a bunch of stuff online or run around town. So it was kind of really organic in the beginning. And
okay.
If Facebook and Instagram had stayed basically free it was before, it would have been a dream come true. But shortly thereafter, it did become where no one was seeing your posts and stuff like that.
Right.
Did you outsource a lot of that work, or was that something that you felt comfortable enough doing yourself and doing it efficiently?
I really had no choice but to do it myself and to learn. I really wasn't on social media personally at all until, or I should say I was on Facebook, but I didn't really use it a lot. I started to use it, and I eventually got on Instagram to learn how to use it for my business. And that was just, it was sort of a lot. Most of this has been on the job training, teaching myself. The software we use I had never heard of. I had to completely teach myself how to use it and my team. So it's really all just trial by, what do they call it? Trial by fire.
Talk about, so from 2015 to 2018, it sounds like it's more organic reach, and then in 2019 you get national attention on NBC's Today Show. Talk about maybe your business from the couple first years, and then when you got that national recognition, how did that increase your sales or increase your brand nationally?
So I get this question a lot about the Today Show because I had hired a couple of different PR agencies the previous couple of years to try to get this type of national exposure without any success. We got little things here or there, but it was pretty much nothing major. And this was sort of random, and people always want to know, were you an overnight success? And it's really never is like that.
There's no such thing.
No. And honestly, it translated to a lot of website traffic and obviously a lot of great exposure, but it wasn't like the next day we had thousands of sales coming in. I think it gives us, a good reputation and some validity, to be...
Hey, this website's legit. You can actually get rental clothing.
And to be featured with huge companies like Rent the Runway was, a really big deal, to be up there with big players like that. So I do think it gave us a lot of exposure, but I don't feel like it was just changed our business a whole lot. So the previous couple of years, I'll bring up that we had a competitor that started, maybe about 6 months after I did. The exact same business model, same brands, pretty much the same.
Where were they based out of?
Out of Indiana.
Okay.
And that was something that completely changed how I would have liked to run my business, because the sense of urgency you have when someone is basically hot on your tail.
You have to be a little more aggressive with marketing.
Yes, the money that you have to spend to market, you just have to do better all the time. And in some ways it was just a real pain in the ass. But in other ways it was good because it kept you moving forward quickly, even faster.
Lit a fire under your ass.
Yeah, totally. And so we had to do a lot of things that we probably weren't ready to do because of that. And there were some times where my team would get frustrated, and I didn't really look at their social media a whole lot, like enough to know what was going on, but not really so that it was in my face every day.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like I always had a plan when I started it, and I had certain things that I was gonna do certain ways, and I didn't wanna like change that a whole lot, like as far as which direction my business was going in. And that really helped me kind of stay the course. I did, in about 2017, I did have to spend quite a bit of money on marketing, and you know, we did some affiliate marketing programs and some other things that I probably wasn't ready for financially, to try to like get ahead of the game. And in the end, we're still here and they aren't, so I guess you know, it's a good thing. But there were some times when it was like, should I just throw up my hands? I mean, in fact, there's been more than some times. There's been plenty of times where you wonder if it's worth it and if you're just fighting an uphill battle. So I don't really feel like I won the war. I just feel like I stayed the course. At one point, I sent my team this picture. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Michael Phelps in the Olympics. He's swimming next to the Italian. There was a lot of press around it.
Yeah.
They were in like the room where they were getting ready to swim. The Italian was sort of like trying to engage him. And
And he was just standing like
down.
straight forward.
And so when they were swimming, there was a photo where Michael Phelps is swimming and the Italian's next to him a little bit behind him. He's watching Michael Phelps, but Michael Phelps ended up winning.
Right.
And so I sent that picture to my team where I was like, this is us. Like, we're not going to win by keeping our eyes trying to follow someone else.
That's awesome.
So anyways, hopefully, I guess it paid off maybe.
Yeah, 100%.
So, there's, can't count how many times already you've said we and team. Let's talk about that transition of between nap times and, while she's at school, for a couple hours in the morning, you doing it all by yourself. And at what point did you realize, all right, if this is more than just a side hustle, I need a team. How is?
Yeah, please help.
Yeah, so it was actually that summer, that first year we launched, it just got to be where I realized how labor intensive like the process was.
Mm-hmm.
So I hired just some part-time help for this summer.
Were these family members, or did you put a listing out on Indeed or something like that?
This was the person I already knew, like
Okay.
as a friend, and like she babysat for me. She was a teacher. She babysat for me sometimes, and I really thought like, oh, just over the summer while Rainey's at school and we were traveling a little bit, I'll hire some help, and didn't know if she would stay, and who knew. But that fall, came time where she had to go back to her job, or I had to offer her a job, and she took a huge chance on me, and I was hoping I could keep paying her. She's still like a main part of our team today, which is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it's scary when you start, like.
I would say that's my next question. What was that like? Realizing, okay, I'm in charge. I'm responsible for making sure this person gets paid.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
Someone else's livelihood, it depends on you, and them being able to pay their bills and support their family. I mean, I guess you just have to have faith that you're gonna continue going, and I don't know, it seems like a blur at this point, but I knew I couldn't keep doing it by myself.
Right.
That just wasn't an option anymore. So, leap of faith, I guess, and there were bumps in the road and training new people on things that I really didn't really know how to do myself, and things like that. So it was scary, but I think overall most of the people that are on our team, it's a balance where we're almost all of us are moms, and I really try to run my business from a place of I want everybody to have the balance in their life, and that means that they get to pick their hours, so they can pick up their kids from school like I do, or I don't know, that part is really important to me, because if I wasn't able to be there for my daughter, I wouldn't have this business right now. That's
Yeah.
my personal why. And I don't feel like there's a whole lot of jobs like that out there for women where,
There really isn't.
you know, and it's, if I left this business for whatever reason and went to work somewhere else full time, like I can't even imagine what that would look like, you know, for me, because it's so important, I feel like, to be there for certain school events or when she's out of school sick or vacations or, you know, breaks, whatever it is. And so I think that's why our team members have like been loyal and stuck with us, is because that whole culture of, you know,
They
being
feel like
flexible.
you're a part of your team. They don't feel like an employee. They feel like a family member.
Yeah, and it's, you know, like I want their families to thrive too.
Right. When you hired your first employee, was the operation still ran out of your house?
Yes.
How long?
Actually, for a couple of years it was, when we had another employee too, and
Really?
yeah, that was weird.
What's that?
Yeah, it was. I mean, one worked at my dining room table, and you know, I had like a desk in the playroom.
Were like closets full of just children clothing, or were they just like spread out
It was
everywhere?
mainly my whole guest room was just packed full of racks. I mean, we couldn't even like move in there hardly. So, I mean, it's actually pretty comical now to think about the situation we were working in at the time.
And
Come a long way.
what space are you in now? What's the square footage like?
It's about a little over 2,000 square feet.
Okay.
So, I mean, we could use a lot more space still.
Really?
Yeah, so I was telling Jimmy, we have plans, like the building that we bought, there was a fire in 1/3 of it several years ago, and it's kind of an old building like this. And we have plans to like add on a studio where we can have, like right now we're sort of like moving things to do photography and
Yeah.
sort of outgrown our space already, but
That's
hopefully
awesome.
that will happen in the near future.
Let's talk a little bit more about, obviously family is number one, you know, your daughter is the reason why all of this became a thing.
Hence the name Rainey's Closet.
Exactly. How much does it mean to you being able to, you know, not work with your daughter, but this is such a business that's centered around, you know, a family as the end consumer, and because of your daughter, like, do you see maybe, not that you are gonna lead Rainey into this, you know, company when she's older, but the ability that could be an option, and you know, continuing to work with her and things like that. Like, have those been thoughts at all, or?
Definitely. You know, it's funny you bring that up because it's something that I've thought a lot about in the last couple of years. I loved being a stay-at-home mom for the first 3 years, and that was something that was really important to us if we decided to have kids, and very grateful I had that experience and got to do that till she was almost 3, which I know a lot of people don't, and you know, so I don't, but I was looking for a little bit of something else in my life that,
Right.
you know, I love working and the challenges that come with it and the creative part of it. So this sort of filled that need, but also I read an article a while ago that talked about like how when you're a stay-at-home mom, like your kids don't know you as anything else other than sort of the inside the home tasks.
Yeah.
Cooking, cleaning, running to activities or whatever, and I feel like in the long run it's going to be really important for her to see me do something else besides working inside the home, because it's hard as hell for sure. Like, you know, but I feel like all of this juggling one day will be worth it, because she might have an entrepreneurial spirit because of it. I mean, I don't know, I think it's important for her to see that side of me, and I think it's important for a lot of kids to see their mom in a different way. And so I don't know, you know, what she will do down the road. I have no idea. She changes her mind all the time, but and I don't know how long, you know, this will go on, or if it'll be bought by someone, or who knows. But it is, I think, that part of it, to see that like your mom is capable of other types of work too,
Right.
is important.
What were some of the first failures that you had when starting Rainey's Closet, and how did you overcome them?
Was there that
Oh,
first
God.
like failed order that you didn't get out, or because this is something that directly affects somebody else's life, and if it's for a wedding or something like that, it's such a big moment.
Yeah, that was hard in the beginning because, especially when I was keeping track of things manually while the website was being built. I don't remember the exact first failure, but there definitely was a few. And it stung, like when you hear from people that, you've ruined their wedding or weekend or whatever it was. And
Yeah.
I mean, I took a lot of it personally, like I felt horrible. And then, when my first team member was with me, she made some mistakes too, and we had to, see how can we be better. It improved our efficiency and processes, but in the end, I know that this is important to people, but I always try to remind myself that I'm not like keeping life-saving medications from
Right.
children or something. It is kind of a luxury, so I don't want to minimize like mistakes and the disappointment people feel, but I do understand it. But we all make mistakes, and it stung a lot in the beginning. It still stings today when we make a mistake. I think we've gotten so much better at just efficiency in general, so that doesn't happen. I mean, it's rare.